This is fucking disgusting. I had a nightmare. I keep getting told because of the frankincense and myrrh. I am not taking that shit off. I am not removing that motherfucker from the goddamn motherfucking window. That motherfuckers can kiss my ass talking like, I never felt my fucking best. I haven't had a night, good night's sleep. Oh, we gotta put you back together. In a long motherfucking time. Until I started putting that in the Florida water on. I'm done with this shit. I'm not going to tolerate it. With that being said, I had a nightmare. The first one I had, well, let me tell you this one. The recent one I had, well, I don't want to forget I kept waking up in apartment 2. I'm going to say something right now. That wetback, Maria Parafin, they open tomorrow. I'm going to have to do something about her. Now, I'm not a fucking nigga. I'm not going to go down there. I'm not going to put hands, even though I easily fucking could. Something's going to have to fucking give. Got to work out today. I can pick that up over my shoulder. Feels too light because I'm in the astral. I'm getting too close to death. I saw on the spirit plane that bitch is still physically alive in the roach realm on that May the 1st, 2024 timeline. She's holding back timelines that allows me to get back into the world of the living. And with that being said, put me down as a motherfucking sacrifice. I'm not going to tolerate it. Like with these other motherfuckers, I heard, oh, you know what you want to wear on top? We're going to put it down as a sacrifice. I'm not going to deal with that shit again, so I'm going to have to nip that shit in the butt. That's how I operate. I saw she was fully physical and every fucking thing else. You know, me, my connection to God, ancestors, father, every fucking thing. And that old wetback bitch should be in my fucking position, near death. That's why I'm like, wearing the floor of the water, frankincense and myrrh. I'm not going to succumb to that and deal with this motherfucking Bina anymore. So I still kept all the shit over there. I was made to forget something that's very, very crucial. I'm sorry, I'm trying to, remember something. Getting protection from Lord Ganesha. With that being said, because I was Indian in one of my past lives, it was something very, very crucial but essential to this. Because this is just fucking ridiculous. There was something I wanted to mention. I think her soul consciousnesses are represented by an Arujo or an Anahanda or Anahada here. That's supposed to be in the physical plane, her soul consciousnesses or some shit like that. I'm just going to put everything out there because I'm tired of it. I'm exacerbated. I'm just dealing with all of this shit and having to do fucking schizophrenic shit to get put back together. Nah, we're not doing that shit. I'm taking the necessary precautions. Frankincense and myrrh works against the wetback bitch. We're going to pull that out. With that being said, I had a nightmare early this morning of that, after that wetback bitch tried to put me in timelines where I'm reborn in the wetback family. She's trying to condemn me to fucking wetbacks because she knows I know the truth about them motherfuckers, and I'm not a big fan of them, even though she don't like black people. I've heard when them motherfuckers learn, she don't like, they take for granted because, again, them motherfuckers, their creator gods, are entity attachments that come direct from Satan. They weren't meant and sold until our Yoda gave them life through the higher chakras and the light, but not the real light, the same light that white people have. They were only consisted of primordial darkness. Everybody's got that, so they ain't special. With that being said, the problem with them, they take for granted, because black people, we come from the Cometians who set up the God industrial complex. ISIS is part of my ancestry. With that being said, these motherfuckers take for granted our niceness, and I forgot what they call it in Africa, in El Kabulan. I'm gonna call it properly. That's the original name of Africa that we gave it. I believe it's Umama. And that means unity, kinship. They take for granted our niceness. Like, I'll never forget, when I was in jail, they had a wetback that called itself trying to hit on me. So I called him a wetback. Now, my voice sounds like a white woman. So a woman in the jail cell further down, a black lady, started saying, you can't say woo woo. She was defending the wetbacks. Guess what the wetbacks did? And I see this on social media with the ice rays. That's why I say call them motherfuckers at 866-877-347-2423. Did it on the wetback yesterday. They wanted to come on a white supremacist website and talk shit to me like he's white just because his demon seed human-eating reptilian daddy who's controlled by Hecate with a special whip by the name of Quetzalcoatl, would shapeshift into a white man. I got that wetback so quick together. I called him a wetback and called ICE and put his profile on that motherfucking ICE tip line so quick. With that being said, I don't play with them motherfuckers. Hopefully a couple other people did the same thing too. So come on now, I'm gonna bring your ass around and show you what the fuck you are. You ain't black, you beneath all of us motherfuckers. You're not like the rest of humanity. Your demiurge who's under Hecate is different. Everybody else is under Yoda Bayo, even white people. I understand where white people come from. It's fear, white genetic annihilation. Them motherfuckers, it reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode called The Burning Man. That's just genetic evil. You look at their origin, I don't want to hear anything else. I don't need to hear anything else. With that being said, the wetback started calling her a nigger and all sorts of fucking contumelies when she was caping for him. I never forgot that. With that being said, they started almost had that bitch attack my spirit guy early this morning. Anyways, with that being said, and her and a bunch of other motherfuckers fucking with her in the past. This needs to end. This is gonna end. Anyways, with that being said, when I get on the bus and she sees my black ass self, the energy, the ambiance, everything changes. And she just calls me a bitch. But she showed me respect. See, with them, you got to be, because of their demonic origins, you got to be an asshole towards them to get respect, especially if you're black. Because again, their creator God who's under Hecate, supposed to be black in these incarnations, keepings and dying than me. It's originally supposed to be me, I heard from my last incarnation. From what I understand, I'm going to have to put myself back together. They got all sorts of frequencies, but you got to have your shit. With that being said, because in their culture, the white man is God through Quetzalcoatl. Really is Hecate. They worship white people. Straight up. Quick. Mad fucking quick. So when they see a black person, they think because of the color of your skin, you're automatically inferior to them. I saw that with them fucking dumbass motherfucking one-dimensional thinking ass beanbags on the PCH. They had one that thought I would be enamored with him because it's like, you a fucking wet, go fucking pick up a fucking, bitch, go build a fucking roof. Go mow my fucking lawn. That's what you're good for. That's what they were fucking made for. Menial tasks, not to think. Entity attachments. Just do. Be a good worker fucking slave. For a white man like here. Let me show you something real quick.
I want to talk about boys that don't talk to him no more, man. I mean, all I can say is not ours.
It is yours. Look at what he names him. JJ probably gave him that name.
It is yours. Don't look at all your boxes in there.
Don't certainly know that.
Don't tell me how to talk to you.
Yes.
You ain't nobody to me, boy.
Like that white.
You do your job. I'm gonna get your ass fired, you little Mexican. Illegal.
So what's the problem? What we got? This is gone.
He's gone. We haven't been to anywhere else.
Is this house? Is this out?
Just get out of here. I'm not
No,
talking to you.
don't tell my employee to get out of here first off, ma'am, okay?
No, I'm not trying to pass off anything. He's been really rude. He's been really rude.
Look, don't point fingers out here now, okay? If we're going to rectify...
Are you?
You're not going to talk to my employees at him. Don't talk to him no more, ma'am. I mean, all I can say is not ours.
I guess motherfuckers think that because I'm black, I'm a sympathize and all of that. I say continue to the white man. I say continue treating these wetbacks like fucking slaves, because that's what the fuck they are. The demon seeds of Quetzalcoatl, who also double as a fucking slave worker race. Fuck them. I don't sympathize with them fucking creatures, those things. Them demons from hell.
Alrighty, so, what's your name?
My name's Felipe Jr.
Felipe Jr.?
Yep.
Okay, for sure. So, look, man, I got a question for you. Can I date your daughter?
No, I don't know what the you're talking about. No, don't even go there, brother. Don't even go. What do you mean, date my daughter? No.
Like just take
a fucking interview or
just
something.
like take her
about my daughter.
Just like take her on a date.
No, you bumped your head, dog.
How about I got 30 bands right now, and if you let me date your daughter.
Fucking save that for your fucking funeral, homie.
Whoa.
For everybody, really. Because our Yoda Bale is black, our hair wool, skin of bronze created you. I was trying to tell some Hebrew Israelites when I was wearing my MAGA hat that. I say they call you Mayate, and them motherfuckers are different from you. They're not under your Yoda boat. They are under fucking Quetzalcoatl. They're different. He was shape-shifting to a white man. That's why they worship white skin to this motherfucking day. So you have to take a more aggressive, I want to say, not inimical, acerbic stance towards him. With that being said, they don't respect black people who co-sign them. You got to be a piece of shit motherfucker to get their respect. I never forgot that. And it's in me as well. I've seen the black heart chakra, the African heart chakra. It's brave. Theirs is tricky. I remember Lord Ganesha saw exactly what the problem was yesterday, and he saw it was that wetback. I heard she keeps trying to block people, my higher to higher selves, different gods and goddesses from coming in. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I got to get myself built today. I heard 24, 23 hertz. Hopefully she don't manipulate that. Can work. I got to vet the advice I keep hearing. I'm getting close to the debt. But I'm going to keep wearing this shit. With that being said, you got to be an asshole to get their motherfucking respect. It's the only motherfucking way. And I never forgot that. You have to let them know, like Charleston White, what the fuck they are, where they stand with you, or else they're going to treat you like shit. Like, that Bina that you saw attacking that young brother for hitting on his girl, on his daughter. He wouldn't do that with a white. And that's because they want to be like their god, Quetzalcoatl, who would shapeshift into a white man who is under Hecate, who has a special whip. That's facts. I don't want to hear anything else. It felt good. I was riding the bus yesterday. I didn't feel shit attacking me from the spirit plane. It felt great wearing that fucking Ngoli oil, the Florida water that got that shit, as well as the motherfucking frankincense and myrrh. I don't like being tormented. This shit would insist on me, because of their nature, but they would try to subdue it. It would be that wetback bitch doing it to get rebuilt, and you cannot logically do that. That could have killed me. I heard my creator guy got removed. I'm trying to get him back. Now, with that being said, you got to be an asshole to get their respect. I never forgot that. They don't respect black people who come at them in a very, very nice manner. and obsequious, man. To them, they see it as obsequious, slave-like. When you're an asshole and you call them out, like I do, like Charleston White does, they respect you. They give you your space, you call them out, that's a wrap. It's like, I heard this sister here got raped by some wetback males. Just like I would get attacked by them on the PCH for speaking out. They wouldn't do that to a white woman. That's because that's their creator God, Quetzalcoatl, they see in her. You know, black people, we got the power. We run the whole show. The commission God set it up. Every motherfucking thing. To some degree, the primordial dark, all that. We transcend that. Use that shit against these motherfuckers. Now, with that being said, I had a nightmare last night. Early this morning, my parents... You know, I was with them little roach spirits. I heard this, my higher said, I don't know. They were trying to help me out as much as they can. And I kept getting taken out of my body, which has happened. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I got taken out of my body. I heard it had something to do with I heard when they saw me walking around topless, one of them put Santa Muerte in. I'm way too compromised and my shit exposed for me to endure that. I don't need that again, and I'm already dealing with something really fucking evil. It's somebody's highest self. Santa Muerte herself ain't shit to get rid of. She ain't nothing. And she, I remember her and Maria Tavares or Cassandra or Christy Blanco or whatever, Nunez, were discussing taking him and my ancestral money, body parts, my father's and all of that, and giving it to him. And from what I understand, they did something where they were taking my soul consciousness. You can use 295 hertz, 295 hertz combined with 695 hertz, and putting it into Santa Muerte, as well as La Katrina Calavera. That wetback was doing that with Santa Muerte, with my the original Baron Samedi. A couple of fucking weeks ago, used 295 hertz, 695 hertz for him. And they seem like they're blocking it, and there's ways to remove that block. I think 1150 hertz, 1150, 100 hertz. They got my shit all fucking misconfigured in the spirit plane. I'm going to need a Reiki healer or something to put my shit back together. Because what I've been relying on, they try, but I cannot. It's just, it's not logical. It's not doable. And they got them all fucked up from what I'm feeling. You know, I be wanting to play frequencies. You know, I was having them little roach spirits come to me last night talking about, and I had, you know, they were like, you know, you can't play 3,002 hertz, you can't play 1150 hertz, you're gonna get fucked up, and it would be true. You know, you gotta, so I had them call on my higher selves as much as they could to put me back together. It's just, it seemed like a preposterous but not really impossible situation. With that being said, I was getting torn out my body, and I remember coming to my brother Kristen, and the reason why I mentioned the other dream that, from what I understand, is she keeps trying to get me to incarnate with some wetbacks that's gonna fucking have me as a sex slave and all of that shit. Them motherfuckers, they got totally taken out of my timelines. I don't want anything to do with them motherfuckers, knowing what I know about their origins. There's something not right about them. I don't have a problem with white people. It's fear of white genetic annihilation. That's why they are the way they are. The white supremacist website, I can go, but I know the truth about them wetbacks. They come from Satan. They motherfucking created God. I heard this is a curse. It's Quetzalcoatl, who was shapeshifted into a white man, a human-eating reptilian that's under Hike, who's black. In these timelines, I don't want to hear any fucking thing else about them. That's genetic evil. You cannot reconcile that. That's how I see him. You know, you know what the fuck you dealing with. So anyways, I've had this happen, having timelines taken out. I heard going back to July the 23rd, 2022 with these people. I had timelines and all of that taken the fuck out. I feel something removing that right now. And take out my body parts. You know, I was told by them roach spirits I would never be able to get my shit back. But there's always frequencies to get your shit back. 295 hertz combined with 695, 295 hertz. But you know, it takes a lot with this. 24, 23 hertz. There's one that can be used for roach attachments, but you got to be mad careful with that one. 24, 23. There's 446 hertz. I think that could be used for Baron Samedi. To put him back together with this motherfucking Santa Muerte, and it's the original Baron Samedi. He's part of my bloodline, the voodoo lord that. Very, very, very powerful, but it's fucked up what's happening with him from what I'm seeing as my ancestor in the spirit plane. I don't like it. I don't want these wetbacks stealing our magic. I warned about years ago in this article with that DNR Cienega Dubbit. With that being said, I kept saying, where are my timelines? Where my family at? You know, y'all look different. This ain't my family. These ain't my timelines. And it kept appearing. I saw my family, my mother primarily, and my dad in the distance. And the reason why I couldn't see my dad, see, they're doing something. And you can use 446 hertz, 295 hertz, 295 hertz combined with 695 hertz. You know, it's the Illuminati in that August the 23rd, 22nd, 2022 timeline that's involved. They tore down the devil. You know, I saw it, I felt it. It's just like when I got soul swapped and taken out of my body. They tore down the devil. Satan himself, who's really, who's trying to help me out because of all this shit. In the spirit plane, you can use 694, 695 hertz to see. I can't stand them motherfuckers. Those are some evil motherfuckers, and they plan on to drain me and my parents of their power, keeping us under heavy curses. I saw Prince Andrew acting as my dad's highest self. The royal family, the Windsors, you can use 1248 hertz. You can use these frequencies here to get to them. They're giving that wetback bitch power. And from what I understand, I used to have astral visions, and my spirit team is, they've been trying to change this from when I was a little kid of me back in 1991. Mind you, Jay-Z, a.k.a. Sean Carter, here's the nigga's dog. So I saw my parents trapped in his consciousness being cut up perpetually like I did with Amshel Mayer. They Rothschild again. Here's the coordinates. Use these frequencies. It's their demiurge. They under the demiurge, so it's hard to fight them. Anyways, what happened is they stole, so what happened is, from what I understand, it was the rapist of our blessings. And I had my Baphomet stolen, which was highly powerful. They keep trying to put it under Zendaya, from what I understand. I'm supposed to be the incarnation of Kike. They keep giving that, to Zendaya. In order to get that Baphomet back, 446 hertz can work. It's the powers that's in it. along with my Hecate, because they, you know, I saw it years ago. They plan on doing something like this. The Illuminati, and that and a bunch of other timelines too, a lot of them, plan on orchestrating a major disaster that's going to wipe out most of humanity. Eminem and Jeff Bezos was going to warn people on that shit. And they plan on wiping everybody out and putting us into clones. And from what I understand, the Zeta Reticuli aliens are our future selves. And I would hear that in UFO lore, and I couldn't quite reconcile that. You know, I heard about the Diary of Paul Dinac, you know, where people in the future were, you know, the way they are, woo-woo, but not this motherfucking shit. So they plan on taking us, killing us, turning us into Zeta Reticuli robot drones, who, you know, for our future self. I have to. You know, it's part of the ancestral circle, right? And creating us as slaves to harvest and, you know, do negative shit, which the Zeta Reticuli are known to do. And it's, you know, that's why people, I believe, now that I think about it, are quick to call them demons, aliens, demons, and why they're under God. It's because of the Illuminati and what they have planned for us. That's why they got underground bunkers being built. And I heard that Maria Parafin is doing that as well, you know, as well as keeping me out them timelines to orchestrate all that shit. You know, for her, 446 Hertz, it's supposed to be open tomorrow. I take that. Yeah, they open today. And then on Saturday. So, with that being said, their game plan, that from what I understand, in the future, they're going to look like the Molochs. I feel her taking over my consciousness. She gave a lot of my... You know, when a child spirit guide, she tried to get rid of her last night, started to rebuild me. She was using 3002 hertz combined with 135 hertz. And she also said 125 hertz, which gets you out of hell realms, can be done to use to do that too. She got upset and said, nah, I don't want her getting any of her stuff back, and quickly took apart a large part of my child consciousness. She was using Hecate to do it, and then gave it to Zendaya. And we were using 1555 hertz. It was affecting me, so you know it's the real deal. 1552 hertz, 15552 hertz to get shit back. But you can also use 446 hertz to get shit back from her as well. I almost want to say add a 2. But I got to get this wetback bitch off. You know, my poor little girl spirit, my poor spirit team are crying. You know, my higher to highest self, they got to get it together. They got to get it together. I'm not going, they were like, I ain't pulling that shit now. It's too testy. There's just too much shit going on. With that being said, their game plan I gotta find out where that wetback bitch is in the astral plane and the spirit plane with me. I gotta do something about, well, the real one. But they open today. And some people try to help me out to abate the situation as much as they could, but they can only do so much. And she, from what I understand, escaped with the Illuminati. 694, 695 her. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm trying to find out where she is in that May the 1st, 2024 timeline where I died. That's the only way to take her out. I heard physically you got to take her out in that timeline. And I've been trying to do it. A couple of other people have been trying to do it. Somebody was trying to defend themselves. Shun. Now, with that being said, they're going to become the Molochs, like it's talked about in H.G. Wells' Time Machine. They're going to be on top. We're going to be, I forgot what they called them. I remember seeing that film, Time Machine, with that dude, guy, something from Australia. He was real cute, handsome guy, years ago. But that's going to be our fate if we go down the Illuminati's path. I know in my original timeline, I don't hear it in this one, we had what you call the Great Reset, where they were going to have everybody without money. It's a utopian, beautiful idea. In that timeline, along with the Paul Dinac one, where black people and everybody got eliminated, your boy, in my original timeline, what's his name? Trump wanted to avert that shit. I wanted to avert it. As well as this shit here. That's the Eminem and Jeff Bezos wanted to avert that shit. They like, nah, we ain't riding with this. Nah. Because that's our future fucking incarnation, right? I don't want the planet to be fucked up. I don't even want these ice rays. Look, I talk shit about wetbacks, and I don't want this shit. I don't want anybody getting eliminated. This is bullshit. I want to see everybody together. I'm gonna talk shit about you, and that's it. Just speak spiritual truth. Everything's different. The motherfuckers in my timeline, some of the smartest motherfuckers. I had a reverence and respect for them. It's not like that where I'm at. With that being said, they wiped a lot of us. She's participating in that shit. From what I understand, they like I showed you in that video, they're going to use her to bring about that cataclysm. When I first came to LA in 2008, 2009, I remember having a dream. I was with a Mexican, a Hispanic maid. We were in one of the hotels in Santa Monica. I was looking out and I noticed a major fucking tsunami hit Santa Monica. They plan on doing that with the next TK, I understand, with Zendaya. And they're trying to make Zendaya it. And call, still, her and my powers. From what I understand, they want to keep my parents, use 446 hertz, 1715 hertz, 125 hertz if necessary. They're getting protection from Yoda Bale. This, I almost want to say his full real name. But they're using from what I understand, They want my parents because, see, the whole goal of the Illuminati, this is why they do the one-eyed symbolism. Is to bring the Egyptian gods who created this whole thing, but not them. They had nothing to do with them motherfucking fake ass Khazar Jews and them fucking crackers that you see sitting up with the Windsors. They got a place called Gita's, as a matter of fact. I was shown this downtown where, you know, on Saturday nights or something, they be fucking killing people and they have some way of blocking it. But the universe is full of numbers, and numbers dominate and supersede God. You can use 1150 hertz, 00, put zeros in front of it at the end. And I heard that Maria Parafin plans to manipulate that to block y'all from doing anything. I feel her in my soul consciousness right now going, shh. A sign of a curse or something taking you over. So, you know, I've been using the frequency to try to get rid of her. So y'all can see what y'all got to do to be able to get rid of her. You know, I remember in the past I used 1945 hertz and that did something to fuck up everything because it was just her operating in the soul consciousness of my higher to highest selves. And me and my spirit team, we were trying to get her removed. So I just said, I know this shit, let me go ahead and remove her. And she somehow jumped in the front, which fucked everything up. You know, when she was behind, you know, my selves, I think it was the Swedish or the Jewish, Ashkenazi Jew, past life grandmother who the Rothschilds keep trying to get into the timelines of, invade her timelines. She was kicking them motherfuckers out. She was like, I don't want this shit. And I don't want this on her. Those are evil motherfuckers. And you don't want anything to do with them. Made a change in the spirit plane yesterday so we ain't got to deal with them. And it felt so much better. Hispanics, they fear y'all because Quetzalcoatl ain't under him. No matter about he came. That's why they don't like you. They couldn't fuck with Jeff Lopez, George Lopez, whatever. They couldn't fuck. That's why y'all don't really go anywhere and helly weird. You know, y'all do y'all own thing, you're done. Because you're under Quetzalcoatl. Fuck a he came. Now, with that being said, from what I understand, because my dad is related to Isis, they wanted to harness her power, as well as the Igbo tribe on my mama's side. I heard that Queen Elizabeth, use the frequency to see where she at. I just noticed that this motherfucker was filming, didn't film what I was talking about earlier. So anyways, let me go ahead and repeat what I was saying. It's kind of weird over there, by the way. I mean, look at what do they call that? The lights over there look mad weird. And plus earlier, I swear I saw some like shadow people. They came outside while this man was passing by, and then they went back inside, and it seemed like one of them seemed like it shapeshifted and changed colors into like regular colors and all. But I want to go ahead and make this very quick. Now they got this hypocrite here on YouTube. I really don't like that guy, and I don't like his energy. It's something about him, like, you can tell a sociopath because certain things about him is registered based on how certain, facial, eye movements and all of that, they don't move correctly like they should. This guy here, he has like an evil energy, even though he presents himself as a Christian and all. There's some really bad energy about this dude that I really don't like. He's more like the type who's dogmatic, and a couple of times I've caught him on YouTube talking about, how he's disrespected homeless people, walk past him, don't do shit. Oh, they're on their own. He doesn't have true Christ consciousness like a lot of crackers don't actually have. They'll sit up there and pronounce that shit and take and distort things like what they're doing here. Like, as you can see on my arm there, you see the Eye of Horus, and then turn around and pervert those same symbols. Like, for instance, I think the reason why I was, sent to do these videos and such and so forth and so on is because I want to go ahead and represent the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Ra, Horus, the real deity, as well as Minerva. People think that those deities and the symbols that accompany them, the owl and all of that, they're somehow inexorably, bad. They're linked to bad things, and that's not really so. Just like in the case of Jesus Christ and the image that's forecasted through Jesus Christ and everything and all. Jesus Christ isn't, really the concept of it. It's not really, innately bad. It's just that people use it for bad measures and to push bad agendas. It's the same thing with the deity. Horus. Horus is, from what I heard, from what I understand, they're upset because they're used by the elite, mostly white folks. Don't get fooled by this whole Jewish thing, because whites, just like they project that blacks are to blame for slavery, since they don't want to take responsibility, a lot of it's just sociopathic. They do the same thing with Jews. They try to put all their worst traits on Jews and use Jews as a scapegoat, when it's Jews who are at the forefront of, caping for blacks, like the formation of the NAACP. Yeah, it was by Jews. But if it wasn't for Jews, a lot of you would not have your fucking rights, because y'all didn't have the tenacity, the wherewithal to fight for it. And just like I did a video, I think I talked about this recently. A lot of blacks have low self-esteem, and you want to be accepted by whites. So whatever they say and do, you for instance, the whole anti-feminist movement thing, it's like they want to emulate whites in an attempt to try to get their success, and that's why a lot of races don't respect you all, while in the meantime, they're telling you worship cracker Christ, and all the while, they're taking your ancient school mystery religions and ancient school mystery knowledge, and not only stealing them for themselves and their own, and to fit their own agenda and all, but also warping them as well to advance, their ends, their agenda and stuff and so forth and so on. Now, the reason why I brought up that guy is because he has this YouTube channel, the white dude that I'm talking about. I don't like that guy. I really don't like him. I think he's located out here in Santa Monica, if I'm not mistaken. I think he is a sociopath. He got some demonic shit on that dude. Like, he'll talk about Christ consciousness and, Christ and all of that in a dogmatic, strictly like a literal Pharisee-like sense, if you know what I mean. But he really doesn't follow true Christ consciousness. I really don't like that dude. Never did. But he does great YouTube videos where he talks about, here's the next disaster, and this is when the next disaster will strike, and all this shit, blah, 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 blah. And in one video, he showed on how on a dollar bill, he was indicating how the elites feel like, he was saying that this is, the next disaster that the elites are going to orchestrate, which is like some huge monumental flood. Now, just earlier tonight, I had this nightmare. Now, you see in the distance there that red, not on the car, but you see a little bit further up. Okay, with the lights and all that. I don't know if you can see that, but okay, see how that, it's usually not that dark over there like that. It's the park right across the street from where I'm sleeping at, and it's funny too because I woke up at 12 fucking midnight, sharp on the dot on the dash, but you see, okay, but yeah, you see where that. See, it's okay. You see where my fingers point with that red light, that little red light in the distance is very tall, like it's on the tall building and stuff. I remember having a nightmare that a flood that's that significantly high was going to hit Los Angeles. Now, you stupid motherfuckers don't come on here saying we even got LA. I mean, people been having dreams and visions and shit like that for fucking years. But, that guy he's an artist as well, and he tends to be eerily right. So, there may be something to it. So, anyways, I had this nightmare recently tonight now, where I saw and envisioned that there was going to be something similar to that. For some strange reason, in the dream, I was working as some maid or something, and it was raining profusely. And I got the sense that there was going to be this huge ass fucking flood. And something was telling me run to a building that's, high very quickly. And everybody else, they didn't take the news reports of serious incremental, flooding very seriously and all of whatever and whatnot. But I did. So I remember running into this, apartment building that seemed like it was modernistic. It's actually a place I've been to in the Astral countless times, many times before. That's why I say it could be some type of, some people have reported ET manipulation with all of these things, whether it's true or false. Like I say, ever since the days of sightings, I've been seeing shit like that. And again, I'm going to run your ass off if you come on here saying, "Really, you need to leave California." Don't disrespect me by projecting and pushing your personal opinion upon me and pushing it on my body and on me without my fucking consent. I'm not gonna tolerate that shit. I want you off my channel if you're like that. You're not gonna come on here and disrespect me and try to impose your silly ass way of viewing the world on me. At the end of the day, if that's the case, that's why I moved from those places that are full of people like you, because I don't want to live around intolerant, narrow-minded, slow-witted, very egotistical ass people like you. I had to call somebody else, out on that shit a while back. I think his name is DMT Freak or something. I don't want to live around that shit. He had the nerve to talk shit and talk shit about transgenders and all of that shit. I don't tolerate that. But then throw in my face, I gave you a donation. I'm like, nah, I don't want people like you following me on all my shit. You ain't on my wavelength. You ain't on my levels. Stay the fuck off of here. I don't want that shit. You ain't gonna come on here and disrespect me and act like you got the right to impose your fucking judgment and opinion like you know it, I don't know shit. So you gotta tell me what to do. But get your ass off my fucking channel. But because I'm gonna call people out. I don't tolerate that shit. I don't put up with no bullshit. Not getting back to what I was saying before. I saw in this dream, in this nightmare rather, this event unfolding, and before then there was a couple of other crazy ass things that was going on. I forgot exactly what it was, but it all correlated to that, and it was very vivid. Not only that, but I'm on my period right now as well, and whenever I'm on my period I have heightened psychic experiences, which is why I just decided to wake up, and I swear, like in my mind's eye, and even kind of like in the reflection of the window here, I saw like this old white man who reminded me of Philip K. Dick, with a white beard, square head. I don't know if it's something that's taking imagery out of my mind. I really don't know. And I saw him kind of like looking in. I think he's more of like the watcher type. Like, he's not going to be somebody who's going to do shit to me or anything like that, do any harm. But the dream followed after I thought about my destiny and all of the, stuff that, I need to do that I'm supposed to do with my life and all that stuff and everything. But, and I'm saying this to say, and I'm going to do a video talking about how, like, a lot of our ancient symbols, our heroes and stuff, the Heru, Hetero, whatever the fuck they want to call that, are being perverted, by the elite. They're not really bad signs and symbolisms in and of themselves, like Minerva and all of that, but they're being used to push bad agendas. It's no different than the whole thing with Jesus Christ and how that was used to push a bad agenda, starting at the Council of Nicaea when it was first conceived and created. by the Romans and then perverted out, into this dogmatic religion where there's no spirituality in it whatsoever, none. That's why most Christians, if you want to look at the biggest devils and demons, go into any church on any given fucking Sunday. Some of the most intolerant, bigoted assholes, judgmental minded motherfuckers are caught up in the church. And on top of that as well, they're also not the most protected spiritually. So that's why, in terms of witchcraft and all, they're the easiest people to get. You see them go online and talk about, I keep seeing things, I keep calling Jesus Christ, but it doesn't help. That's because they're not spiritual people. They're dead, empty. They follow a dogma, and that's about it, and that's all. Now, returning back to the dream, the feeling I got was that it was going to be this 60 feet fucking wave, like this really huge wave. And the weather was inclement that day. It was like rainy like a motherfucker. And, people kept getting, it was enunciated all over the radio and the airwaves and stuff, whatever and whatnot, that there was going to be a huge wave that was going to hit. A huge wave was going to hit us, and a huge wave was going to hit us. And I was just like, what the fuck? And it's the vividness of it. Like I said, I mean, people been getting visions like that and shit for years and all. It doesn't mean it's going to come true. I remember since like 1999 watching shows like Sightings. And there were people on there talking about, oh yeah, California's gonna break up and this shit's gonna happen and that shit's gonna happen, and who really knows what's true or not? And people would actually give firm dates too. 2004 is gonna happen. California's still here. This is gonna happen. That's gonna happen. But in this nightmare, the sense that I got, it was this strong sense of urgency. Like, I got to get the fuck up out of here. You have to move to higher, land, and how a lot of people were going to be eliminated in the course of this, most ordinary folks at that. The rest of the dream, because I don't have that much on my cell phone, 'cause for some strange reason, update was, moving up and everything and all. There was a lot of other layers to it too, but I remember the intensity, the worrying about it, the thinking to myself, because my parents were like, hey, you should come back home, but I don't fit out there. That's not home for me. I mean, every place I've ever lived, I've been an outcast, and LA is the home of the outcast. That's why I feel of all of the other places where I've resided, including New York City. This is why I don't like people telling me, well, you need to move it. You don't know shit. Most of y'all are fucking stupid and naive and narrow-minded as fuck. I can't stand a narrow-minded person who doesn't have a lot of knowledge about things. They don't have an open level of consciousness like I got, and yet they got the nerve to want to castigate and judge and decide what you should do with your own life and with your own body without taking how you feel into account. I got guides on deck, bitch. At the end of the day, I got shit that's telling me this is what you need to do. This is what's good for you. This is what's part of your divine plan and destiny. Do not get in the way, because I got spirits on deck that will hurt you and destroy you. Stupid motherfucker talking about, you meant to be a teacher. Bitch, you talking to a motherfucker that aborted two of her fucking fetuses. Man, you better get the fuck up out of here, nigga, if I offer your ass up as a sacrifice so I can get more blessings in my life. I donated, bitch. I'll donate your ass right back to Lord Satan. Let me stop. Stupid motherfucker. I'll let you know the time of the day and who you dealing with. People like that just want to choke them. Shit, I swear. But, fucking moon up there. But as I was saying before, see, I'm trying to remember the rest of that fucking dream. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it was extremely scary and very multifaceted. I remember hearing something on the radio about inclement weather, weather, I was just going to be bad prodigiously, and it was going to go on and go on and go on, and how there was going to be a huge fucking wave and there's going to be no survivors. And I thought, the first thing that came to my mind that I thought of while dreaming that was that his name is Jonathan Kleck or some shit like that. That's the guy's name, Jonathan Kleck. He has a YouTube channel on here, and how he unfolded the dollar bill and revealed that the next man-made natural disaster was going to be. Okay, no, it's just a person. I thought it was something else. Okay. But it made me think about this guy's predictions and how it could possibly correlate to this. I think personally we're in for some pretty wild fucking time. Let me see how many minutes I got. Okay. Like a fucking person in the distance over there. Look at that spot up there. You don't see that spot? That black way up there. That shit ain't coming from my car either. But suffice it to say, because there were so many aspects to this, I can't really recall off the top of my head. But I remember the sense of panic. I think I was either driving or something. I was still in this position where I was semi-homeless. But it seemed like I was a white woman in this dream, and I was working for this wealthy family, and I was begging them for shelter, and they were like, "Well, you can't stay here, and you have to think about it." Or I think I went into this stranger's house. I was begging them, "Hey, man, can I stay here?" But it was very fucking weird. I think that the amount of battery just went down because something decided to download on my fucking cell phone. Something stopped that shit, some update. But I remember trudging through, yeah, and begging the people for shelter. And I remember at one point, before then, it seemed like I was out at Venice Beach or something, Santa Monica. It actually looked a lot like this building out here, like one of them apartment complexes that's at that location. And I remember I was by neutral ground, some shit to that effect. I mean, before people talk shit, look at the disaster that hit New Orleans East where I grew up in. You had 15 fucking tornadoes out there that just recently hit. So no place is safe. Y'all are stupid. Most people are fucking dumb and stupid. That's why I don't take their fucking advice. I let my guides guide me. After all, my guides guided me to this great ass car that I'm driving right now. You can even see it indicated on the license plate. You got the 3 6s and the 2. So, don't tell me shit. I'm letting my guides guide me. Now, that said, to all of you out there, tell me what you think. I'm quite certain that more nuances to this dream is going to come back to me, but I remember getting a sinking suspicion that you need to move further inland. Like, the more inland you move, the better you be. And I remember getting the feeling that on the radio, this had been building up for months. So, again, tell me what you think. Anyways, like right after that shit, I had a hard time going back to sleep. And I'm not gonna lie, I was actually watching, something about tiny homes and how the cops and the state is refusing to build them, and the unfair position that is, rather, that they put homeless people in out here, by refusing them shelter, and because of their greed and their desire, I'm guessing, to want to wipe certain segments of the population out.